I've never brought this story up, not even to my pals who were there that night. Pretty sure they'd rather forget about it, too. I can't help but think about it every year when Halloween approaches. We grew up in a simple small town in a time when us kids could run free without worry. Nothing mattered except getting home by the time the streetlights turned on. The parks and the woods were our kingdom, and we ruled, fearless. That Halloween night changed everything. A heavy mist filled the air, like walking through a cloud. I remember feeling the water droplets against my face. Cold and damp, yet exciting. My pals got permission to stay out later for Halloween unsupervised as long as we promised to stick together. We'd already trick-or-treated every house on our block and decided to continue down to the lower block for more candy. There was a park just outside that neighborhood where we rarely played. It has a swing set with 2 cast-iron sculptures on the top bar. One is a lion head and the other is the head of a clown. They are about the size of jack-o'-lanterns and are similarly hollow. Weather and time had peeled away most of the paint, making them creepy even in the light on a normal day. I'm sure they looked neat when it was built in the 60s, but not so much by the time we inherited the park. Sometimes we'd dare each other to climb up to the top and reach into the mouth of either the clown or the lion to put something in it or see what someone left. Those hollow heads with gaping mouths were not the only reason we rarely played in the park, but that's what took us there that Halloween night. A dare to reach into the clown's mouth. I remember standing shoulder to shoulder with my pals on the sidewalk in front of the park. The last house light on the edge of the lower block was barely visible up the road, the clown and the lion looking down at us with open mouths and peeling paint. As if the ornaments atop the swing set weren't bad enough, it was the slide behind it that caused concern for every generation of kids who played in that park. A green S-curved slide stood behind the swing set. We all knew the story about the slide. We froze in panic when something began rustling under the slide. I hope my heart never beats that hard again. We heard an unmistakable choked gurgle coming out from under the slide. Then, something dark reached out and thrashed against it. Metal hit metal with a tink-tink, and the gurgling grew into a wailing moan. I dropped my bag of candy and ran toward home as fast as I could, with my pals doing the same. I'm not sure if anyone else looked back, but I saw her. The dark form scampered out from beneath the slide. It staggered forward, grasping at its neck, and then fell. It crawled and reached at us. The gurgling cry will haunt me forever. Years before our time there, a girl had been playing alone at the park. She had put on her dog's collar and leash to play pretend that she was a doggy. No one's really sure how it happened, but it seemed that she had climbed to the top of the slide and fell off. The leash had wrapped around the railing at the top, and she was found there, hung dead. The tales about her ghost under the slide have been passed along from generation to generation of kids who played in that park. I wonder how many stories about that slide have never been told. I've never brought it up myself until now. I wish I could forget about it. Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. Isn't it so nice out? Come in, come in. I haven't had company for so long. Oh, you're not supposed to go into the homes of strangers? Don't worry, I'm safe. I won't do anything. Cross my heart. Alright, feel free to sit anywhere. Would you like some tea? Cookies, maybe? No? Right. You came for the candy. Can't blame you. It is Halloween, after all. Before I give you any, I'll tell you a story. Once there was an ordinary little girl like any other. She loved Halloween because of the candy, like everyone else. She was also very, very foolish. On one fateful Halloween night, much like this one, she knocked on the door of a couple who had just moved into that area and said the usual trick-or-treat thing that every child said. They invited her in, saying that she'd get candy and that they were perfectly safe. She went in. What a mistake. When they sat her down and gave her some juice, she drank it instantly. After a couple minutes, she started to feel woozy. Then, blackness started to flicker at the edges of her sight. Darkness spread its wings over her vision, and she blacked out. She never woke up again. Oh, don't look so afraid. I wasn't trying to scare you. Did I make all this up? Oh, no. I could never make up anything that morbid. How do I know this? The little girl was me. My body was never found, and even I forget where it is now. All I know is that the couple that killed me died slowly and painfully. In fact, this is the very house where it happened. Now, run along. Take your candy with you. Just don't be so trusting of people. Who knows what I could have done to you? This happened decades ago, when I was in middle school, or junior high, as they called it back then. I understand if you're skeptical, but respectfully, I'm not really interested in having a logical debate about the merits of my story. At the end of the day, either you're someone who believes this type of thing could happen, or you are not. It was the beginning of October, and my friend Kyle and I had spent several hours going through one of the local haunted corn maze attractions. The first few times, we had the time of our lives, but by the 5th or 6th time through it, it was starting to get old. We thought about switching to another haunted attraction in the area, but Kyle had another idea. He said we should sneak into the maze at the local botanical garden. We were both latchkey kids who were into trespassing for fun, so I didn't have any ethical objections, but I didn't see the point in it. That's when he told me about a being called the Clipper. The Clipper? Like garden clippers? I gotta say, that's pretty lame. What's next? Are you gonna take me to the cemetery so we can look for the shovel? You're laughing now, but I heard he stalks the maze at night and kills anyone he catches in his maze after hours. They say he carries a big pair of clippers to torture his victims, he rebutted. Just who are they, and how do they know any of this? Wouldn't it have been in the news if that happened even once? Where does he go where it's not nighttime? What about when they let people into the garden at night for Halloween and Christmas? Where is he then? We did this dance back and forth, but Kyle convinced me to go. I didn't have anything better to do that night, and we had all October to go to haunted houses. The botanical garden was close enough for us to walk there. I never honestly expected to find the Clipper. Kyle was academically quite smart, but he was kinda stupid in other ways. I suspected some kid at school had decided to prey on his gullibility by telling him this ridiculous story of a slasher who stalks the maze. As cliché as it may sound, we got over the fence by climbing a tree. We were in luck. The maze was nearby. It was a fairly warm and still night. We barely even needed our long-sleeved shirts. I was more concerned about being caught trespassing than encountering any sort of supernatural being, although it wouldn't be the first time. But still, it was honestly kind of nice being there after dark. The maze was very well kept, with nary a twig or leaf visible on the path. The full, or almost full moon, gave it a very tranquil atmosphere. We saw an owl bathing in the fountain that served as the centerpiece of the maze before seeing us and flying off, which was pretty cool. We also found a snake crossing one of the narrow pathways. Even if there was no slasher monster around, it was interesting to see how the place could come alive at night in its own small ways. I did feel a slight cold shiver a few times, but I didn't pay any mind. We walked the maze several times over, keeping our voices hushed just in case there was security around. Maybe an hour in, I suggested exploring the rest of the garden, but Kyle said he had to piss. Just go in the fountain, I told him, referring to the collection pool at the base of the fountain. He thought that was gross, so he just opted to go in the hedges instead. Well, we've been over this place a bunch of times, and no sign of the Clipper, I said when he was finished. I say we go check out the rest of this place. We were about to do so when we saw him. The Clipper, for who else could it be, merely took a small step from where he was standing to reveal his presence. I'm going with he, had been standing there the whole time, but we didn't notice him until he moved. He just blended in with the maze, I guess. He was tall, taller than the maze itself, and slender and cloaked in green robes that covered his body head to toe. I assume he had hands because he was holding a pair of big, menacing, almost comically oversized pruning shears. I'm pretty sure I always got that slight chill feeling whenever we were at that same spot at the fountain. How had we missed him? The Clipper made no noise as he began walking toward us. He didn't stagger like monsters in the movies. His gait was perfectly even and graceful. Needless to say, we weren't looking for any reason to stick around. Like I said, the maze was small, so we were out of it in seconds, but we didn't stop running until we were back at the garden fence. I looked back once before we found another tree and climbed back over. The Clipper was standing there at the mouth of the maze, facing our direction, before turning around and walking back into it. You may have several questions at this point. How could we fail to notice the Clipper in such a small maze when he was taller than the hedges? Where did he go during the day? How had no one else discovered him? How could he be real when my friend or someone he knew more or less made up his existence? Well, as the kids are fond of saying, I got nothing. Like I said in the beginning, it's your choice if you want to believe me or not, but I stand by my story. If you follow a magical thinking philosophy, maybe Kyle's own belief in the Clipper somehow made him real, but he definitely was real in that moment, not just a figment of our imagination. I actually went back to the maze years later as an adult, during the day. There was, of course, no sign of the Clipper, but I never once doubted the reality of what Kyle and I had experienced. One lingering side effect of our little adventure was that haunted houses and corn mazes lost their appeal to us. They just suddenly failed to deliver the adrenaline rush we were after.